You guys, this episode is so timely as we are sliding into 2022. Get a pen and get ready for some actionable items. I am challenging you today to think about what are you going to say no to in 2022 to create space for more yes that serves you and gives you energy, makes you productive and successful, and brings in the big bucks for 2022. Can't wait for you guys to listen in on this one. Hey friend, Melissa Hinault here with the Burnout to All Out podcast. I'm a former multiple six-figure executive corporate burnout, feeling stuck in the life I built for myself. But using my corporate skills, I took to the internet and have built multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses, showing others how they can build a life they love. Now, on this podcast, I share stories of being an entrepreneur, a mom to my 3 amazing kids, and wife to my wonderful and supportive husband who supports all my wild and crazy dreams. My journey is taking grit and persistence and belief. And believe me, I'm still a work in progress that you may witness in real time, whether it's in our free Burnout to All Out Facebook community, or inside my mastermind, or even in my coaching programs, or maybe just right here on the podcast. I'm laughing and I'm crying with you. I've become a serial entrepreneur with a passion to inspire more burnouts to take the leap of faith and go all out and live out their dreams. Consider me your mentor in your head and on the go. So let's get started. All right, guys, I've been excited to do this episode for a while. Perfect timing as we're wrapping up December and looking into the new year. This episode is all about what are you going to say no to in 2022. What do I mean by that? It's not a negative thing. It's actually a positive thing. What I want to share with you today is that the most successful people I know and the most successful people I study and read about are laser focused on their priorities. And if it doesn't serve their mantra, the answer is no. The most successful people actually say no to most things, right? I want you to think about this. There is a consequence energetically, physically, mentally, all the things beyond just time. There is a consequence to every yes, because for every yes, there's a no on the other side. What do I mean by that? When you overextend yourself and you say yes to too much, others in your business suffer, right? So if you're saying yes to things that don't lead you to your ultimate goal for the year or aren't serving you, the more you say yes to things that don't fit that objective, there is a consequence. It's taking you away from your family. It's taking you away from your clients. It's taking you away from the team that you need to be serving and yourself, right? So when you're committing to something that doesn't align to moving the needle with your mantra, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, there's always a consequence. So for instance, yeah, I could do an evening call, but it's at a consequence of not having that time, space, or energy with my children or my family, right? Sure, I could do that extra volunteer piece in the neighborhood or at school, right? But is it truly serving my mantra? And if it isn't, who's suffering because of that? Because it's taking energy and time from me that others who are important to me are not getting. I hope this is resonating with you guys. And I want to ask you a question. Are you finding that at the end of your days, you feel exhausted and haven't finished everything on your list? Are you feeling like at the end of the day, you're not taking care of yourself, or that you're leaving things that are a priority, you're not getting to them? I would challenge you that you're just not saying no to enough things. And at the end of this podcast, I'm going to give you a call to action to get clearer on this and trim the fat. Okay. You truly need a true north and or a mantra for 2022 that's going to guide every decision that you make. You need a mantra to help you decide if it's going to be a hell yes or a fuck no, right? And if you can answer with clarity immediately because you have a mantra and a true north, your 2022 is going to explode because you're going to have boundaries, my friend. Boundaries, okay? Here was my mantra for 2021, and it served me well, and I'm reusing it next year. You are welcome to hijack this or make it your own. But my mantra is that it must bring my family or myself joy, or it must grow my business or bank account. Okay. Now, some of you might be like, wow, that sounds really selfish, right? Here's the reality. Joy can be defined in many ways, right? So there is a time and a place to give and serve for free out of the goodness of your heart, whether it's philanthropic where you're volunteering or you're, giving your services for free for coaching. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But it must be giving you joy, right? You're not just doing it because someone asked and you feel obligated and you haven't created boundaries for yourself to say no, right? Simple, right? Okay. So let's unpack some areas that you may be saying yes too much. I want you guys to listen in and see if there's some spaces that you can get clearer on your boundaries based off of what I'm going to challenge you to do in creating your own mantra this year, right? Let's start with the family. Let's just start in the household, right? Are you overcommitted? I found last year that we just had our kids in too many sports. There was just too much going on. And I was run ragged. And so it was a matter of creating boundaries even with our children. Okay, everybody gets one sport during a season, not two, right? For mom's sanity and for everyone's sanity. Are you overcommitting to parties and activities or supporting a cause, right? That you're actually dreading that you signed up for or volunteered for? You need to ask yourself, why did I volunteer to do that? Was it out of peer pressure or perception? Or was it out of joy because you really wanted to do it, right? And is it serving your true north? Is it bringing joy? For me, it would be, is it bringing me joy to my family or myself, or is it growing my business or my bank account, right? Are you doing too much in the house and not delegating, especially moms? For the past century, we've been free labor in the house and we're doing it to ourselves now instead of delegating it out and giving others responsibility. We have 2 dishwashers in our house because there's 5 of us and we go through a dishwasher a day, right? You better bet my 8 and 9-year-old know how to unload the dishwasher. I'm not their servant. I'm not their maid, right? Empower your children. My kids bring their laundry down on the weekends and run their own laundry, right? They're old enough. Don't kill yourself to do that. Why have you put that on yourself for it to be your responsibility? So consider, how can you split up more of the domestic tasks in the house with your significant other or hire out if it's not giving you joy, right? And I have a whole other podcast on that. If you know your hourly rate is above $20 an hour for the business you're running, you should not be folding laundry anyway. You should not be cleaning your house. You should be outsourcing that so that you can be maximizing your income in your business, in your zone of genius and the time that you have. Right? I've got a great example of a client of mine who was a Pilates instructor on Wednesdays. And it was something she loved to do for a long time. And recently she's realized that she dreaded going because it was in the middle of the day and she had to travel there. She had to travel back. It pretty much ate up her productivity. And I empowered her to drop it, right? She empowered herself to just drop it. Hey, you know what? This doesn't align to my mantra and my motto for 2022. And she's gotten an entire day, she feels like, back because there's not this interruption in the middle of her day, right? Or like the hassle of Christmas cards. It's one thing if it's something that's bringing you joy and you can't wait to get those pictures done and you can't wait to send them out. But if you're dreading getting it done, why are you making it a priority? Is it because of perception of others and just wanting your cards out because it's for perception? Or is it out of joy? We actually didn't do Christmas cards this year, and we do them every year. This year I was like, you know what? I'm tapped out. There's no space for this. And I don't really feel like corralling our family and get together and even taking a day to do this year. So we're not. Big deal. Wasn't bringing me joy, and it wasn't growing my business or my bank account, right?
Hey there, we're going to take a brief little interruption. I think you guys will love why I'm doing this little interruption. And that is because we hear from you all the time over in the Burnout to All Out community on our Facebook page. You've got questions, you want coaching. And so one of the things we are opening up to our Burnout to All Out community that are listening in right now to this podcast is a chance to get your questions answered in a live hot seat coaching session with me, yours truly, Melissa Hinault, in our Burnout to All Out community. And the audio will be recorded and you will be debuted in our podcast with your questions. So if that piques your curiosity and you're intrigued, here's the deal. All you have to do is text the word question. Again, text the word question to the number 1-833-310-7171. Again, text the word question to 1-833-310-7171. And when you do that, we will come back to you with another message asking you to submit your question. 2 to 3 lucky people will be selected every single week to be featured in my Facebook community and on my podcast. Looking forward to hearing from you guys.
Another example, Thanksgiving this year. Oh my word. How many of us stress over the preparation and gathering of Thanksgiving? I was the crazy woman who closed out our very last launch of the year the day before we hosted 18 people at our house. For those of you who do the launch method like we do, it is labor intensive, my friends, and totally worth it, but labor intensive. But this year, I realized that if this event at my house with 18 people, if it was going to bring me joy, I was going to have to say no to a lot to get to that space. So what did I do? I delegated out a lot of the dishes for people to bring. I then went to the internet and went to Whole Foods and ordered all kinds of pre-prepared stuff that was actually really delicious. And I left 1 or 2 key things that I love to make for me to do. And everything else was brought to the house so that the event could bring joy to my life instead of exhaustion, right? Instead of exhaustion. Let's talk a little bit about work, okay? Are you in alignment with work that is giving you energy, right? Are you in alignment, or are you doing the hard things? Are you feeling as though you're pushing, a wet noodle uphill? You're dreading the work that you're doing, right? There are seasons where there's just work you have to push through. But if that season's turning into a lifelong experience of drain, maybe you need to reassess what tasks am I dreading in my business that I could either drop or delegate. Maybe there's programs or workshops or things that you're doing that no longer give you joy. Have you outgrown it, right? Maybe you need to say no and reinvent, right? Or if it's tasks in your business, maybe you need to delegate them out, right? Are there areas you're finding that are giving you joy, but you don't have enough space to pursue in your business because you're spending too much time on the stuff that brings you down, that doesn't give you energy? How can you say no and redirect? How can you delegate? Create space for the joy and the fun in your business, right? Are there aspects that are just not necessary or that are draining? I mean, Let's talk about staff and clients. Okay. One of the things that was empowering for me this last year was to drop clients that weren't a good fit, right? Drop them. You own your business. If you have teammates or people who support you and staff that are not the right alignment, you're dragging them through the sand. They don't get the vision, right? It may be time to say no. It may be time to find new staff. If you're in the direct sales space, if you're dragging people through the sand, stop. Say no. Move on. Find new people who are hungry and want what you have to offer. Okay? I want you to assess all the projects and things that you have your hands in right now. And are there ones that don't align to your mantra? And if they don't align to your mantra, assess saying no in 2022. Guess what happens when you say no? It's like cleaning out your closet. What does your closet look like when you're done cleaning it out? There's space. What do we need space for? We need space to grow. We need space to pursue, to develop, to create. But if we're so cluttered with crap, we can't see the forest for the trees, right? Okay, so just some things to think about. Now, can you think about in your work, where can you be delegating things out? Can you train up staff in 2022 on things that don't require your face, your voice, or your brain? What tasks are you doing that could easily be handed to anyone, right? To leave space for you. If you're in the direct sales space, are you teaching too much over and over and over again? Are there ways to create more duplication in your business and train up leaders to empower them so that you aren't the only one doing it all? How can you rise leaders up? By creating systems and process. Shameless plug, but we coach to systems and process and duplication in our mastermind for our business owners, right? So those are just some things to think about when it comes to your business and where maybe you need to say no and where you need to say hell yes, right? Let me give you another real world example for me. And I'm sure some of you guys experience this. The more successful you become, the more everybody wants a piece of you to quote unquote pick your brain. How many of you guys have heard that? I just want to pick your brain. Can we get 15 minutes on Zoom? Right? Guys, there is a cause and effect to someone picking your brain. They're getting 15 minutes that they're picking your brain. It's 15 minutes your family isn't getting. It's 15 minutes your paying clients aren't getting. It's 15 minutes your staff who need you aren't getting, right? It's 15 minutes of your life that you're not getting back. Is it meeting your mantra? I will tell you that there are scenarios where I do give away free coaching, but there's many scenarios where I turn down paid coaching, right? Because it doesn't serve my mantra. But here's the thing. When someone is asking to pick your brain, they're asking for free coaching. I've gotten to the point in my business where I have an hourly rate. If you would like to book a call with me for 30 minutes, I charge $750 an hour now. That's the math on my hourly worth. And we have, maybe I'll do another episode on how you can calculate that, right? If you want to pick my brain, that's great, but it's a consult, right? I have the self-respect and the confidence to charge for you to pick my brain, right? Now, there are times, next week I'm doing a 3-hour workshop in Unstoppable Entrepreneurs, and I'm doing it completely for free. But guess what? It's going to grow my business and my bank account because people are going to hear and get so much freaking value that they're going to come follow me, and we're going to get clients in the new year when we launch our new masterclass, right? That creates lead generation. When there's a motive to long-term generate rapport and relation. I used to do free coaching when I was first kicking off my business with top influencers because I knew I could give them crazy value and they would generate leads for me that I could start billing for, right? So I hope this has been helpful for you guys to really think about. My call to action for you today is two. Number one, develop your mantra for 2022. Go to my Burnout to All Out Facebook community, and I want you to share with us in the comment section, what is your mantra for 2022? Own it. What is going to be your guiding true north to what you are going to say hell no to more, right? And the other call to action is I want you to do a personal audit of your own time for the next 7 days. And I want you to ask yourself, in my accounted hours for the day, how many of them are actually serving my mantra? And how many of them were wasting time? When I say wasting time, meaning they weren't serving your mantra, right? How many are simply serving others to please, right? How many of my hours could be delegated to someone else so that I spend more time in that new space and alignment in my zone of genius to be the moneymaker with your face, your voice, and your mind? I hope this episode has been helpful. I can't wait to hear your mantra. Come share it with me in the Burnout to All Out Facebook community. Can't wait to hear about it. Thanks for listening to the Burnout to All Out podcast. For free resources, materials, or information on my coaching services, go ahead over to livethefreelife.co. That's livethefreelife.co, or check out our Facebook community at Burnout to All Out, and make sure you follow Burnout to All Out on Spotify and subscribe to iTunes. And it would truly mean the world to me if you paused for just a second, gave me that 5-star review of the show, and be sure to share this episode with any burnouts you think would be inspired to go all out after hearing this episode.